Hi, everyone. This is Christina with Soma Yoga and Wellness, and welcome to Align and Shine in 2022 with Yoga and Ayurveda. So welcome to this free talk. So in this talk, we're really going to talk about planning for a new you, for what you want, the future you envision for yourself for 2022 and beyond. January 1st might feel like an arbitrary date upon which to build a new outlook, and in some cases a new life, but this celebration has really deep roots in history. So it comes around the time of the winter solstice, when you have the shortest days and the longest nights. And at that time, the switch over from shorter days happens, and our days start to stretch out longer and extend further. And our bodies feel this transition. Even in our modern world of artificial lights and shift work and alarm clocks, we do actually feel this in our bodies if we attune our attention to it. So January is a great time to put in place new rituals and healthy practices and add them into familiar routines. And so in the next about 60 minutes, we're going to talk about healthy habits from the ancient wisdom of Ayurveda, the 5,000-year-old sister science that arose along with yoga. And we'll also draw upon behavioral science so that we understand better our habits and, what are habits and routines and how we can build healthy habits so that you can shine. So both inside and out. So we're going to really dive deep into tools and techniques to make this really super useful so that you can start your journey to a healthier, happier, and more vibrant life. Okay, so to start off with, just to let you know that I am leading a 14-day challenge where we will incorporate healthy habits to start the new year. The challenge officially begins on January 1st and runs for 14 days. So until January 14th, 2022. So although it's a 14-day challenge, it really is about kickstarting lasting habits. And it uses the tools of Ayurveda and yoga for vibrant health paired with behavioral science. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. If you have questions, we can get into it at the end. All right, so let's get started. Going to give it a second, let the screen move to the next slide. So in our actual live free talk, I asked people why they were here, and people had a lot of different goals. Some people wanted to lose weight, and others wanted to align their vision and really clarify what their vision was for 2022. And so, Ayurveda really offers a really beautiful perspective on healthy habits. But in order to better incorporate new habits, we first have to explore what habits and routines are and how to make them stick, because there's a lot of science behind how habits make it stick. And like I said before, Ayurveda and yoga are great tools, and there's a lot of wisdom from about 5,000 years of science to support this. Okay, so who is this talk for? So if you're going into the holidays and you're worried about feeling depleted, or you're tired, if you're experiencing a lot of stress or even a little bit of stress, or you're feeling anxious or down, if you're having trouble sleeping, if you don't have enough energy to get you through the day, or you're finding that you're irritable or sad, or your moods are really kind of unbalanced, maybe changing, if you want to sleep better, you want to be healthy, but you struggle with making healthy habits stick or finding time in your day to incorporate good habits. If you want to build healthy habits, if you want to reduce your anxiety, lose weight, be more physically fit, have an upbeat mood, this talk is for you. This talk is not for you if you don't want to do the simple work to make the change. You need to do the work. Not going to ask an extraordinary amount of work, but there is work involved, and so you have to commit to that. Okay, so let's start off with just talking a little bit about unhealthy habits. So while it is okay to indulge in a sweet treat every now and then, or to skip the gym for a day, getting into a health rut can have a really detrimental impact on overall health. And I don't think this is newsworthy. I think, I'm going to assume for most people, you already know this. So, for example, not incorporating vegetables into your diet can lead to digestive issues and other health problems. Eating fast food regularly can increase your risk of cancer, heart disease, high blood pressure. It increases inflammation, risk of infections, and so on. Lack of exercise is a surefire way to put good health on hold, leading to all sorts of different chronic illnesses like type 2 diabetes and cancer, obesity, heart disease, osteoporosis, cardiovascular disease. I could go on and on. And stress, if you're stressed because you're working long hours, or, you're not sleeping enough, it can lead to really serious heart related concerns, including inflammation and heart disease and heart failure, even irregular heartbeats, and so on and so on. And of course, lack of sleep can weaken your immunity, cause weight gain, and increase your risk of type 2 diabetes. So I'm not saying all of this to scare you, but the point is that the stakes are high. The stakes are really high for not building in healthy habits. So, when you think about it, the bad news is that health and productivity habits, when you slip up, things can start to spiral downward. So you can see the spiral here. So, you're tired, and then you can't focus on your important work. And so then you don't make time for exercise or cooking healthy food. And so you grab fast food, and maybe you veg out in front of the TV. And this doesn't lead you to feel great the next day and want to be more productive. Your energy is going to feel lower, and you're going to feel worse and worse about yourself. And so this can become a downward spiral, and until you feel hopeless and out of control. And so the bottom line here is that if you know that you have some habits that you really want to change, even occasionally, there's a good chance that making some supportive adjustments are really going to benefit you greatly. Again, like I was saying, the stakes are high. 44%. I'm going to say that again. 44% of Canadians 20 or older, okay, have at least 1 in 10 common chronic conditions. Okay, and this is from the Public Health Service Agency of Canada. Okay, so this is a recent statistic, and I'm betting that the larger, although I don't have the exact stat, the larger percentage goes up the older you get. And so if you're in your 30s or in your 40s, that percentage is going to be even higher. So if you look at all of these different diseases, these chronic conditions that I put here, so many of them are related to our overall habits and our lifestyle choices. So hypertension is what that is high pressure in the arteries. So vessels carry blood from the heart to the rest of the body. And, they lead to things like fatigue and headache. And generally, the higher, your blood pressure, the greater your risk. But, untreated hypertension affects all organs, and it can shorten your life expectancy from 10 to 20 years. So I'm going to say that again. Untreated hypertension, so high blood pressure in your arteries, can shorten your life expectancy from 10 to 20 years. So again, the stakes are high. And, although the absolute cause is unknown, risk factors include a sedentary lifestyle, age, certain medical conditions, right? So again, this comes back down to healthy habits. Osteoarthritis, so that's inflammation in the joints or loss of cartilage in the joints, and it's usually caused by wear and tear. It results in pain and stiffness in the joints, warmth and tenderness, and limited movement, and it's becoming basically the major cause of disability in elderly people. So meaning that, and that's around the world, not just in Canada, 14% of Canadians age 20 plus have osteoarthritis. And it doesn't necessarily directly shorten your lifespan, but it does cause physical disability, which significantly cuts down on the healthy years of your life. If you can't get down onto the ground, when you're 50, that becomes quite difficult. And that, obviously is very related to exercise. It's very related to the foods you eat. So again, it comes down to habits. So mood and anxiety disorders, 13%. Well, there's a connection between the brain and the gut. Obviously the brain and the whole body. And so again, the types of foods that we put into our body, the types of thoughts we put into our mind, these are a result of habits. Okay, so I won't go through each of these conditions. I think you get the point. The point is that the stakes are high in terms of building healthy habits, and there's no time like the present. Okay, so who am I? My name is Christina with Soma Yoga and Wellness, and so again, welcome. And, I'm a former consultant in the cultural sector. I worked there for about 16, 17 years. But before that, I actually studied psychology and neuroscience in university. And so that was really my focus was brain and behavior. The period of time that I worked as a consultant was a very stressful time. It required a lot of travel, international travel, very stressful projects with really tight timelines, so on and so forth. And about 2 years after my daughter was born, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder, Hashimoto's thyroiditis. So what that is the thyroid in your is a gland in your body, just located right around your neck. It's like a butterfly-shaped organ, and it affects just about every single part of your body. It regulates your metabolism. It can make your skin dry or not, and undiagnosed, it can be very dangerous. And so I had been having sleep issues, skin, creaking joints, low energy, an unbalanced mood. And this was off and on for about 10 years and had gone undiagnosed, although noted by a naturopath 10 years earlier. And this was, I was someone who was practicing yoga. I was someone who ate well and did exercise, and yet I wasn't managing my stress. And, so again, the stakes are high. At one point, I booked myself into a meditation retreat in between one of my business trips. And I took a moment to pause. I took a whole week to pause, eat very healthy food, and practice yoga and just sit and be for 1 week. It took them over a year because to regulate my medication after that for the thyroid, for the autoimmune disorder, because 1 week had so profoundly impacted my health for the better. And I was shocked. I was really surprised. Not that lifestyle changes impact your health, but how quickly you can make those changes and how quickly they can turn things for the better. And so that was a turning point for me. And I really dove into yoga and Ayurveda. I started to learn how to manage my stress, how to get better sleep, and how to employ the habits of Ayurveda. And I was very lucky that when I did my yoga teacher training, one of my teachers, the lovely Shayla Khan, who's here in Toronto, she's an Ayurvedic practitioner. And so part of the training introduced me to Ayurveda, and I never looked back. So that was a turning point for me. And since then, I've lost about 30 pounds. I've regained my energy. My skin has totally cleared. My mood is more balanced, and I sleep better through the night. And so this is something that I'm very passionate about. I teach more than just yoga. I like to teach the habits of Ayurveda because I have found that they can help, and they can help very quickly with a few simple adjustments. Okay. So I also want to talk about what doesn't work well. Willpower. So according to organizational psychologist, Dr. Benjamin Hardy, I'm going to actually read this quote here. He says, willpower is a broken approach to living, to thriving and success. If you're serious about the changes you want to make, willpower won't be enough. Quite the opposite. Willpower is what's holding you back. If your life requires willpower, you haven't fully determined what you want. Because once you make a decision, the internal debate is over. As Michael Jordan has once said, once I made a decision, I never thought about it again. So if you're truly committed to doing something, make the decision. So for example, if you think about running a marathon and you decide in 3 months, I'm going to run a marathon, and you're going to put everything in it to make sure that it happens once you've signed up. You're not going to just leave it up to chance, right? You're going to be running and practicing every day. And so no matter how much internal resolve you have, you're going to fail if you don't change, if you don't make the decision. And if you just rely on willpower alone, it is extremely difficult to really enforce that change over the long term. Willpower and motivation might be what gets you started. Doing it alone. So making changes alone is difficult. Our habits are not our own. Our habits are communal. And when we're trying to up level to better habits, the biggest obstacles are our relationships, past relationships and present relationships. So unless you're in an evolving relationship where you're both evolving and you're fully aware of how your habits intersect, free of all codependence, and you have mutual, articulated, volunteered interdependence, if you're not in that kind of relationship, you're just like the rest of us. And that's okay. But if you are like the rest of us and you have normal relationships with people who have their own challenges and goals and motivations, when you start to up level your habits, you run into all sorts of resistance, both from yourself and from those around you. You'll likely hear about how your new habits don't work for the social conditions that you're in or for your relationship. So, I used to like when you would come out to the bar with me and have some drinks, or, why do you have to go to bed so early, or whatever it is. It becomes difficult. So you're not just fighting against your own resistance, but also the resistance of those who've come to see you in a certain way and have attached themselves to those things. Perfectionism. So the saying goes, perfectionism is the enemy of the good. So the challenge of perfection is that it intimidates people so much that they don't even try. I prefer the saying, perfection is the enemy of progress, because it stops you from doing your best work. And, no matter how that you could do, no matter how imperfect you are, and we're all imperfect. Imperfect people can improve with practice. And that in itself is a joy to experience. So we have to let go of our perfectionism. And the last one, changing too much at once. So trying to go for an all or nothing approach. In our impatience for results, we try to change too much at once. I see it all the time. I see it in myself. And we expect too much of ourselves. And this impatience usually leads to frustration and failure. And this is why most people fail to keep their New Year's resolutions. So changing small amounts at time rather than too much is a much better approach. Okay. So things can spiral downward, and you can feel hopeless and out of control if you're not making good habits. But the good news is that they can also spiral upwards. If you take a positive step, like going for a walk, for example, then you'll start to feel pretty good about it. It gives you the inspiration to make a healthy meal, and now you're feeling productive and you're in a good mood. So you're cranking out emails and you're doing important tasks, and you're motivated to take care of yourself and turn your life around. And so you start paying attention to sleep, and you start flossing your teeth. Maybe you try some meditation. You feel great. Things start to spiral upwards, and you feel like you're capable of change. I've experienced both kinds of spirals myself, the downward spiral and the upward spiral, and I've seen both kinds in so many people. The upward spiral makes you feel amazing, and it changes your entire life. That's the one I recommend. But here's the key. Ask yourself which spiral you're on right now. Think about it for a moment. Are you on the upward spiral? Keep going. Make one small change at a time. and continue to help yourself to feel better and better and better. Work on your habits, work on your mindfulness skills, and you'll only get better over time. If you're on the downward spiral, well, it's good to recognize that too. And it's important to remember that you can turn it around. We all have the capability to turn things around. I turned my spiral upward, and many others have as well. You can do this. So let's get into it. How do we turn our spiral upward? I think that's the important point and why we're all here. So Aristotle said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. Whether you realize it or not, most of your daily behavior is composed of habits. And what are habits? They're automatic behaviors that you do without thinking. You do them the same way every day. So think about all of the habits that you do without thinking. Things that you don't even remember. Perhaps you put your keys in the same pocket. You wear your purse on the same shoulder when you walk out the door. Or maybe you have a routine that you go through every weekday when you first wake up. Okay, you probably have routines around and habits around hundreds of things, like how you leave the house for work, or what you do as soon as you get to your place of work if you leave the home, how you clean your house or your apartment, how you do your laundry, how you ask your kids to go to bed, how you shop for gifts for relatives, how you exercise, and so on and so on, how you wash your hair. I could go on. So if habits are so hard to create, how do we end up with so many, right? If you understand the science around how habits are formed, you'll see that there's some fairly simple things that you can do to make habits very easy to form and even relatively easy to change. So for most people, habits are created unconsciously and they are carried out automatically. And this is important to note. So it's what I was saying before. We do so many things and we do it without thinking. Habits help us to do many of the hundreds of things that we need to do in our lives because we can carry out a habit without having to think about it. And it frees up our thought processes for other important things to work on. So it's important. It's a clever trick that our brain has evolved to make us more efficient. So they're not bad things and they're not good things, but they are helpful or they can be helpful. So a study by the American Psychological Association, I'm going to call them the APA, they found that developing a good habit is more important to meeting goals than self-control. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Developing good habits is more important to meeting goals than self-control. Okay, it comes back to willpower again, right? Not as important as habits. It turns out that we're just as likely to default to positive habits, such as eating a healthy breakfast or going to the gym, as we are to self-sabotage. And isn't that great news? So the research shows that, lack of control doesn't automatically lead to hedonism. For better or worse, it's our underlying habits that matter. At least 40%, if not more, of our actions are not conscious decisions, they're habits, okay? And so if you take control of your life, you can do so by changing your habits. Again, motivation and willpower are what get you started, but habits are what keep you going. Okay, so Ayurveda and Yoga teach us to align our habits with nature's rhythms, yearly, seasonal, and daily rhythms so that you can have optimal health. And so if we know what habits we want to automate, we can consciously form new habits and automate them so that it becomes a vibrant, healthy life. Okay, so a little bit more about the science. Okay, so the central question for behavior change efforts should be, how can you form healthy, productive habits? I've said it's fairly simple. What we know is that to form a habit, you want to make the desired behavior easy to do so that you repeat it until it becomes part of your routine. Okay, I'm going to go back to this slide with Aristotle for a second. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an action, but a habit. Okay, I want I want you to keep that in your mind. So to be able to change habits, we have to understand how they form. So in the 1990s, a group of researchers from MIT, they discovered a neurological process that's at the core of every habit. And so they call it the 3-step loop of habits, and it's very simple, and it's hardwired into our brain. So to understand it, you have to know the rules. So the first is cue at the top there of the screen. So the cue is any trigger, can also be called a trigger, that tells your brain when and which habit to use. Okay, and then there's the habit. That's the activity, or it can be an emotion or a behavior. And then there's a reward, and that's how your brain determines if a loop is beneficial to you or not. So for example, cue, you're bored. Habit, you grab a bottle of wine or maybe some chocolate. And reward, you feel relaxed and happy. So the cue and the reward have a very strong influence in creating habits. It's the cause of cravings, and it's what makes you repeat behaviors and actions over and over. But your innocent wine drinking can turn you into an alcoholic, and eating too much chocolate can make you gain a little bit too much weight. So if you do it often enough. So let's say you want to change that habit, what would you need to do? So if you only focused on changing the habit, like drinking wine, you're going to be unhappy. Okay, your brain will think that will think the loop doesn't work, and it'll reinforce your drinking habit. Okay, our brain demands fulfillment and satisfaction. So to be able to change a negative habit, you have to replace the routine or the habit with something else, which will give you the same reward. So instead of grabbing a bottle of wine when you feel bored, you might try jogging or watching a good movie. These activities are going to offer perhaps the same reward, and you'll feel relaxed afterwards. Your brain will think that this particular loop works. And as you do it more often and experience the same reward, it will replace the loop where you reach for the bottle of wine and instead you're going to go for a walk, or maybe you watch a movie. And so this just shows how you have the power to change a habit that's causing you more harm than good. So the first thing is to, rather than getting rid of bad habits, add in good habits. Yes, the other thing to note is that when you're doing one thing, so if you're adding in a healthy habit, it's taking time away from your ability to do other things, and that could perhaps be the negative habit. Okay, so I put a worksheet in the email, and I put it in the chat too, and it is called Change One Habit Worksheet. So you can take it out, and I want you to think about all of the different habits that you want to change. So this means bringing what is usually unconscious or at least ignored to your awareness. It does not mean beating yourself up for it. I just want to take a minute, make a list of the things you'd like to change, and use the worksheet. And just take a moment and write them all down. I'm going to hold for just a minute and let you do that. So write them down in the worksheet, the habits you want to change. So it might be drinking that bottle of wine, or it might be something like stopping eating when you're full, you've had enough, or it might be something else like not eating fast food. Think about the habits that you want to change. And now, once you've written all those habits out, pick one, just one. Select one and really take a moment to think about it. Look at what you're getting out of it. So in other words, how is your habit serving you? So are you looking for comfort in food? Are you looking for numbness in wine? Are you looking for an outlet or a connection if you're spending too much time on a screen? Are you trying to relieve stress by eating or by nail biting? It doesn't have to be a long, complex process. You'll figure it out. And you'll have some good ideas about how to switch it up for healthier routines. So take a moment, think about it, and think about how your habit is serving you. Okay, so here's a common scenario. So you feel like you have no downtime, so you stay up way too late, binge watching your favorite show on Netflix. I believe it's called revenge sleep deprivation. You know that you're going to be exhausted and less productive the next day, but you feel entitled to some fun just for you. And I was guilty of this all the time. Your wisdom, however, knows this is not the healthy way to have more energy and to build resilience and everything else that you need to be productive the next day. So I offer you this. I want you to think about honoring your wisdom and realize that you do have the answers and you're capable of doing something different. So I guess the first thing, our body is a wealth of knowledge. We know when we're tired. We often know what we need, and ancient cultures throughout the world have honored the body as a source of wisdom. Yet in the westernized modern society, we have been socialized to consider our bodies as problematic, as something to control. And when we have problems, we like to outsource the solution. This is not to put down the medical profession, of course. There's a great place for that. And Ayurveda and yoga and Western medicine are not mutually exclusive. They work very well together. But the thing is, companies in the Western world and actually globally spend trillions of dollars to make us believe that our bodies are inadequate, that we'll buy more products and not question the status quo. And yet, your body is truly a gateway to the soul. So rather than viewing it as flawed or wrong, your physicality is sacred and perfect, and it is meant to be enjoyed. So I urge you to start to take off the lens of that conditioning to believe that our bodies are lacking or defective or unworthy of love. This is perfect machinery that we've got here. We can't make machines like our body. The technology is something that we can't create as humans. Nature can. And when we pay attention to what our body needs and we reflect on what feels good for us, we can make change and we can really start to relate. And so I invite you to really honor your wisdom. You can explore what it's like to relate to your body the way a small child does. Rather than focusing on your body on doing things that are painful, start a dialogue with your body and start to find new habits and behaviors that will help you thrive. So I invite you to just take a comfortable seat. We're going to do a meditation, a very short meditation. So close your eyes and just sit comfortably. Notice your breath. Notice your feet resting on the ground. Focus on any area of your body that you are struggling with. Ask your body what message it would like to share with you. Notice what emerges, what comes up. It might be a vision, it might be a feeling, memory, knowing, words. Allow it to come up. Take a deep breath in and out, relaxing yourself, and send love to your body without any expectation or judgment. Take another deep breath in and releasing. Keeping your eyes closed, ask your body or the specific area you're focusing on how you can best support it. See what comes up as you dialogue with your body. Continue the conversation, asking your body any specific questions, such as how you can establish healthy habits, that will nourish you. Be curious about how you can best support your body. Perhaps you can journal or meditate on this. You might be surprised at the wisdom that emerges. Take a deep breath in and out. And slowly open your eyes. And now I invite you to pause the video and just write down what came up for you. What did you notice? What emerged? What did you learn? I invite you to do this process, just taking a moment to stop and dialogue with your body as often as you'd like, and watch your relationship with your body transform in powerful ways. If you're feeling kind of uncomfortable because you're new to meditation, you can just simply stop and pause and breathe and just notice how your body's feeling. Okay, so I mentioned this before and it bears repeating. Add before subtracting. So when you want to replace an unhealthy habit, choose something to replace it. Just willing yourself to change isn't enough because it doesn't address the underlying benefit or reward for the behavior. And so, for example, what can you do instead of standing in front of the fridge when you're stressed? Create a plan. So if you're armed with the tools and replacement behavior, the next time you catch yourself and you're not hungry and you're standing in front of the fridge, you'll try the replacement behavior. So some ideas could be breathe into the count of 4 and breathe out to the count of 8. Focusing only on your breathing. You could do that 4 times and see how you feel. If you need more support, stand there until you come up with one reason why you shouldn't continue to do this habit. This is a key step. So when you do something different to replace an unhealthy habit, I want you to acknowledge to yourself that you're doing it differently. So really notice, you need to bring whatever it is that is subconscious to the conscious mind so that you can emphasize the ability to change. It can be as simple as saying to yourself, look at that, I made a better choice. So every time you perform a good habit, it is replacing something else. So in other words, there is something that you aren't doing, and hopefully that's the unhealthy habit. Create small steps to reach your goals. So take baby steps if necessary. Even if you can't fully follow through the new habit right away, do something small to keep yourself on track. Smaller but consistent steps. Consistency is key. Repeating the behavior over and over again is what is going to help you. So for example, if you've blocked out an hour to exercise and you suddenly have to go to a doctor's appointment, find another time to squeeze in even at least 15 minutes. And that way you'll reinforce your new habit, even if you can't commit to it 100%. Another thing you can do is visualize yourself changing. So serious visualization, it actually retrains your brain. In this case, you might want to think differently about your ability to change. So spend some time every day envisioning yourself with your new habit. So if it's exercise, picture yourself exercising and enjoying it. Picture yourself eating healthy foods or fitting into those jeans. See yourself engaged in happy conversation with someone instead of standing at the back of the room. This kind of visualization really, really works. And now that familiar idea that nerves that fire together, wire together, is actually happening in your brain. Those nerves are becoming wired in your brain. And the default choice that's healthier might actually be the one that happens. Also monitor your self-talk. So The refrain in your brain can seriously affect your default and redirect it. Okay, so reframing is like rewiring the script. So, if you catch yourself saying, I'm fat or no one likes me, reframe it or redirect it. So, reframing is like rewriting the script. So, replace it with, I'm getting healthy, or my confidence is growing. Redirecting is when you add to your negative self-talk, like, I'm fat, with, but I'm working my way into a healthier lifestyle. Or, and when you judge yourself, it only keeps you stuck. So retrain the judgmental brain. So even those small steps will make a big difference over time. This is my favorite one. Aim for a B-. So again, let's throw perfection out the window, except that you will sometimes falter. We all do. Habits don't change overnight. Love yourself each time you do, and remind yourself that you're human and it's okay. And know that it will take time. Habits usually take several weeks to change. You have to reinforce the bundles of nerves in your brain to change the default settings. So, but bring the process to your awareness by writing it down. And it's very easy to forget, a new plan if you conceive it with the best of intentions, but you don't reinforce it. So for the best success, take 15 minutes to plan out your new habit, pen in hand. That's why I sent you that worksheet. So I want you to write down the habit. I want you to understand how it serves you. And I want you to think about what you're getting out of it. And the next step to that is write down what the behavior you're going to do is. And maybe write it down a few times. Decide when. Get specific. And yes, you can do this. Okay. So I work with people in dynamic groups to support them towards their health and wellness. What we do is a transformational process that I myself have gone through. And what we do is we integrate the vibrant life habits of yogis that have been passed down for like the last 5,000 or more years. And I've gone through this program myself and integrated these habits into my life with profound changes. And it is amazing how quickly your spiral will go up. Your habits, you'll feel better. And so this is the list of habits. Okay, so there's the earlier, lighter dinner. So when you eat your dinner early, you digest your food before bed, and you burn fat, instead of waking up with a food hangover. So ideally you want to eat before 6:30 p.m. and then close your kitchen. Brush and floss so that you don't have taste in your mouth and you're not tempted. The second habit, early to bed. So an effective bedtime routine guarantees a good night's sleep. Reverse engineer your sleep and start the day on top of the world. That way you have energy, and maybe after dinner you go for a little walk. You do some active chores and you start to unplug earlier and go to bed earlier. Have a soothing routine and you'll sleep better. So you might take a bath, meditate, do yoga, whatever works for you. Rub some oil on your feet and then start the day right. So the first two habits are setting you up to start the day right. So early to bed, early to rise. You all heard that saying, makes the person healthy, wealthy, and wise, right? Night owls, you will age faster and fatter than you want to. I'm sorry to tell you this. Wake before dawn, hydrate with about a half liter to a liter of water, and then eliminate. Go to the bathroom. And now you're ready for action. Breath body practices. So you need to air out your energetic body. Okay, your energetic body needs to be aired out every morning, preferably before you hand it over to your mind. So I really want you to take 20 minutes to move, breathe, and sweat. Get regular movement in before you have your coffee, and you decrease your stress and your joy increases. And take it from me, I love coffee, but have water, do some movement, do some breath. Plant-based diet is the next habit. I didn't say raw vegan. I said plant-based. So eat more plants and you'll feel more alive. Eat more plants that grow locally, that grow in your hood, and you'll feel more connected in general. Start learning about what plants grow in your area, dandelions, mushrooms, diversify the species that you're eating and get more nutrient density. You'll start to feel connected to the planet. You'll start to understand that the world is full of abundance and is trying to support us. Practice this habit and you'll be feeling smarter and better from both the inside and out. Self-massage, I'd say, is like the best habit for creating change. So you basically give yourself a rub down with your hands. You can use oil or you can use a dry brush or gloves, and it awakens your inner super healing powers. I tell you, you won't know until you do it. Practice this habit before or after your shower or bath. Sitting in silence is the next one. So take a few minutes every day to sit in silence and do nothing. Let the world go by. Exhale your mind. You'll feel less stressed. Don't worry about getting it right. Just give yourself some room and let go of your worries. Truly, catch a few moments of silence the same time every day and build the habit. Try this before bed or after the breath body practice. Healthier eating guidelines. So are you eating 3 meals a day without snacking? Did you already nail the first one, early or later dinner? For most of you, you're probably grazing through the day, gaining weight, feeling grumpy, unproductive. Stop. Fast on water between meals. You'll shift into metabolizing your fats, stabilizing your mood, and sinking the other habits. Come to your senses. It's all about all of your senses. We're so driven by our eyes, but we also have ears. We have touch with the skin, taste with the tongue, smell with the nostrils, and they all hold the potential for longevity. So start by scraping your tongue every morning, putting some oil in your nostrils to keep them healthy and lubricated, and resting your eyes on the horizon or out the window through the day, particularly if you're working at a screen. And the last one, which I think is maybe the hardest one for many people, flip your switch from stress to ease. Choose to relax. Exhale and orient yourself towards ease through your daily commitments, your passions, and your responsibilities. Ease is right there behind the stress. If you can't feel it, go back, sit in silence for a moment or two. Okay, it's 10 habits. If one of these is one of the ones that you chose, great. I suggest you work on maybe one or part of one. In my program, I take people through the 10 habits over a year, but we see change really fast. So I want you to think about now what you wrote down and ask yourself these questions. What is your strategy to change your habit? Identify the habits you want to change from the worksheet. This means bringing what is usually unconscious, again, to your awareness. It does not mean beating yourself up. Think about what you can add in. What are you getting out of it? What is the cue? What is the reward? So how is the habit serving you? Think about that. And then honor your wisdom. Use that dialogue with your body to find new habits and behaviors that will help you thrive. Architect your habit. Write it down. Add the new habit before trying to get rid of the bad habit, and create small steps to build that new habit in. Don't aim for perfection, and find someone to hold you accountable. How can they support you in a small, specific way? BJ Fogg, behavioral science at Stanford, says, if you pick the right small behavior and sequence it right, then you won't have to motivate yourself to have it grow. It will just happen naturally, like a good seed planted in a good spot. So, starting January 1st, The Align and Shine Challenge is going to be 2 weeks, 14 days, where we start the new year right. Instead of feeling languishing like we have for the past few years with everything that's been going on, maybe bloated and groggy from the new year, that's no way to go into and do your 2022. The past few years have taught us that, like anything, languishing is not how we want to feel. We don't want to feel that meh. We're not part of the symptoms. It doesn't get us to the goals that we want to achieve, and it can be downright dangerous. So in the Align and Shine Challenge, you're going to step up your understanding of how to align with nature's rhythms. You're going to learn to incorporate rhythmic eating, breath, and movement practices to kickstart your day. It's going to be easy, but a challenge. And you're really going to break through to new levels of intuition, have more clarity, and achieve flow. And this is going to happen in 2 short weeks. So if you want to get lean, if you want to build strength, if you want to be more focused, if you want to avoid the bloat or start to reduce the bloat, and you want to start working towards the body that you want for 2022, you want to have a more stable mood, and you know that being in a group or in a challenge with a start and an end would help, this is for you. Okay? It's going to involve fasting and feasting. You're going to learn how to automate your habits, or at least the start of it, for 2022. Right now, the challenge is on. If you sign up by December 15th, you can bring a friend for free. And so, it's a great gift if you want to get someone a holiday gift. You can sign up. I'm going to have the link in the email. Just click join, or send me an email if you have a question. I have lots of answers to the questions, but there's going to be prizes. There's going to be a lot of good things. Okay. So that's going to be a great way to start the new year. And if you want to go a little bit deeper, obviously I can't teach you how to build your ideal routines and practice and overcome your bad habits in an hour or 45 minutes. And so for those of you who are really serious about wanting to take care of your health, I really do want to help. So here's how. I can offer you a health goals session. This is a one-on-one with me where we will go in depth. And what we'll do is we'll clarify your next vision for your body and for your life. We're going to do that in the challenge, and then we'll go beyond so that your future is bigger and brighter than your past. In this process, we're going to tune into your intuition. We're going to uncover what is working against your vision, and we're going to look at your daily habits. And you're going to come away with 2 to 3 really clear, precise action steps that are going to get you on your way to achieving these goals. Okay, so this is something I'm going to offer you as a way to thank you for listening to my talk. I have 5 spots available. Obviously, I can't meet with everyone, but if you're sick and tired of feeling unhealthy and not reaching your goals, and you're ready to invest in yourself and in a real breakthrough, please apply for a health goal session. So you need to sign up for a health goal session while this is on your mind. I'm going to talk to 5 people this week. So sign up now if you want a spot. This is a $150 value. It's a 60-minute health goal session with me, and I'm giving this today to you for free. So sign up now if you're interested. I'm going to put the link in the email, and I will be in touch with you to set up the time to speak once you have filled out the form. So again, a very deep action-oriented session where we're going to talk about your habits, we're going to talk about your goals, and how to align them for the future with 2 to 3 clear steps. And then if I feel that I can offer you anything else, you'll learn what it's like to work with me. All right. That's all I have to say. Thanks again for taking the time to listen to me, and I wish you well. I hope that you'll join the challenge and that you align and shine in 2022. Thank you. Bye.